$5 trillion. That is what a full-scale war between Iran and Israel could cost the global economy. Your retirement savings, your gas bill, entire markets, all because of a single waterway most people could not find on a map. Every day, nearly 21 million barrels of oil pass through a strip of water just 21 miles wide, the Strait of Hormuz. That is about 1 in 5 barrels burned worldwide, squeezed through a single maritime bottleneck. If this artery is squeezed, even briefly, the effects ripple far beyond the Gulf. A disruption here does not just mean a few missed shipments. It means a shockwave through the energy lifeline of major economies from Asia to Europe and the Americas. Hormuz's vulnerability is not theoretical. In 1979, during the Iranian Revolution, global oil supply dropped 30% almost overnight. Tankers rerouted, insurance premiums soared, and Brent crude spiked by $12 per barrel within 2 weeks. 8 years later, the so-called tanker war saw mines and missile attacks slash daily flow by nearly 40%. For 3 tense weeks, oil prices and shipping costs surged, and $2.3 billion in damages stacked up from crippled vessels. Each time the world learned the hard way. When Hormuz is threatened, the price is not just measured in barrels, but in billions. The world's energy security, and by extension its economic stability, hinges on this narrow, exposed corridor. The numbers behind a Hormuz shock turn abstract threats into hard dollar reality. Analysts model 3 escalation envelopes: a brief skirmish, a partial blockade, and a drawn-out multi-front war. Each scenario comes with its own oil price surge. In a limited clash, Brent crude jumps $10 to $30 a barrel. If the strait is partially blocked for months, the spike climbs to $40 to $70. A full shutdown could send prices soaring by $90 to $150 a barrel, levels not seen since the darkest days of past oil crises. For American drivers, every extra dollar per barrel adds about 2.4 cents to a gallon of gasoline. That means a $30 Brent surge raises gas by 7 cents a gallon. A $70 jump adds nearly 17 cents. And a $150 shock could push pump prices 36 cents higher, month after month. Multiply that by the 540 gallons the average US driver burns each year, and even a limited conflict tacks $1 to $3 onto a monthly fuel bill. Under a prolonged war, the hit can reach $16 more per household, translating to a nationwide surge of up to $2 billion in extra gasoline costs every month. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, holding roughly 635 million barrels, acts as a pressure valve. In a moderate crisis, it can release about 30 million barrels to dampen price spikes. But if the conflict drags on, the reserve's cushion thins fast. A sustained drawdown could drain a fifth of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, leaving the country exposed if the crisis deepens or another shock follows. The math is simple. Every lost barrel, every dollar up, ripples straight to the pump, and the safety net has limits. Every Tamir interceptor fired by Israel's Iron Dome comes with a $40,000 price tag. In a limited clash, 20 to 40 launches push the bill past $1 million. A partial blockade could see up to 300 intercepts, resulting in $12 million gone in days. But in a drawn-out multi-front war, the Iron Dome could fire as many as 2,500 interceptors. That is $100 million just to keep missiles out of the sky, not counting the cost to repair damage on the ground. The US defense budget, already stretched, would absorb a surge in spending. Each carrier strike group deployed to the Gulf racks up $70 million a day. One group for 2 weeks matches the cost of a new hospital. 3 strike groups for 6 months, plus logistics and munitions, would add over $50 billion. Even before markets react, these numbers are locked in. Meanwhile, global shippers face a penalty of their own. Rerouting a single supertanker around Africa instead of Hormuz burns an extra $546 million in fuel. When hundreds of vessels are forced to detour, the aggregate fuel bill climbs into the hundreds of billions. War risk insurance premiums multiply, reaching $38 billion if the threat drags on. These are not theoretical costs, they are hard dollar losses, paid up front before a single share on Wall Street is sold. A sudden spike in oil and shipping costs does not just stay on Wall Street, it hits ordinary Americans in the pocketbook, starting with retirement savings. The median 401k balance in the US stands at $120,000. If a war between Iran and Israel triggers a 10% drop in global equities, that is a $12,000 hit to the average retirement account. In a severe, drawn-out conflict, a 20% drawdown could erase $24,000 or more, money that took decades to build. For retirees relying on a 5% annual withdrawal, a $24,000 loss means $1,200 less income every year, forcing tough choices about spending, travel, or even basic needs. Inflation follows quickly. Every $10 jump in Brent crude has historically pushed consumer prices up by 0.2%. In a limited clash, inflation could tick up by 0.3% to 1%. A prolonged war could drive the annual consumer price index higher by 4%. That means higher grocery bills, steeper rent, and less room in household budgets. The US economy as a whole feels the blow. GDP could contract by 1% in a brief crisis, and by as much as 6% if the conflict drags on, translating to trillions in lost output. Add it all up, and the total economic toll ranges from $700 billion in a short skirmish to $5 trillion in a full-scale war. These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are the dollars missing from paychecks, savings, and the daily lives of millions. Global markets hinge on fragile choke points and volatile alliances. In a world wired for instant shock, one regional war can shatter portfolios everywhere. The risk isn't distant, it's in your wallet. Stay alert.